Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show. Myself and Mark are back for our first watch along in quite some time. So looking forward to watching and tuning in to SC Freiburg taking on FC Cologne in the Bundesliga. Mark, the last match of match day 13. So before we get going and look at the starting lineups and everything else like that, shall we have a quick few predictions and make sure that everyone gets your comments and your predictions into the comments as well. So what are you feeling for this game?
Yeah, I think for me it's got the air of a bit of a home banker, really, in all honesty. I think obviously Freiburg rested players in Karabakh the other day, whereas Köln had that 2-2 draw against Nice, which ultimately saw them go out of Europe. But I just think it's Freiburg are looking so good at the moment. I watched the game last week against Schalke, and it was just a walk in the park, that win. They didn't even have to play anywhere near the best, and they won 2-0 and were just so convincing in that game. And I'm going to go for another 2-0 win, actually, today as well. I think Freiburg, they're so overloaded with fixtures. I think if they get 2-0 up, I just think they'll try and take it easy like they did last week against Schalke. So I don't expect a big score, but Köln are having a bit of a funny season, really. I mean, they've only lost 3 games, but I've not been... I don't know, I wouldn't say I've not been impressed with them, but like at times they've not been very good, but at other times they've looked really good, but they're very up and down, really, Köln. I don't think they've hit the heights of last season for me, but I still think Freiburg should get a 2-0 win for me. What about you, Rory? What are you going for?
I think it will probably be a home win, but I'd like to think that Cologne probably will get themselves a goal or two. So I might go for... I'll say 3-1. I think Freiburg should have enough about them. And obviously, speaking of which, the game will be getting underway in just a few moments. We're really looking forward to this one. First time we've done a watch along on the Sunday afternoon, so hopefully everyone that's tuning in can sit along and enjoy the game with us for a bit of Sunday afternoon Bundesliga football. Comment along whether you're a Freiburg fan, a Cologne fan. If you've got any questions for myself and Mark, please do let us know. Make sure to like the video if you can do, really helps us out. Comment along, as I've already mentioned. Get some predictions in and make sure you press the red button and subscribe to the channel. Just as Cologne in their away strip looks like a slightly different one today, but it looks like a nice kit that they've got going, and they've gone long early doors, and we're underway in Freiburg in the Europa Park Arena. So what are you expecting then, Mark? A quick start for Freiburg to try and mitigate what should be a fairly energetic Cologne side, but a Cologne side as well that are getting over the disappointment of being knocked out of the Conference League.
Yeah, definitely. And Freiburg have already had the first chance inside a minute as well. I think it was Grigorovic that played the ball back, but he had time and space. I'm not sure who it was who had the chance, but he should have done better, really. He just hit it straight at the defender. It was a good chance. And as expected, as Freiburg often do, actually, they fly out of the blocks, especially at home. I think with Köln are one of those sides where they concede a lot of early goals, actually, in games, especially away from home. And I think if they got to get off to a bad start today, it could be a long afternoon, And I think for them, Steffen Baumgart will have just told them to kind of keep it tight for the first 15, 20 minutes. Because as I say, they do concede a lot of goals away from home early on in games. I think they were pretty much out of the game after half an hour in the last away game against Mainz. They were 3-0 down after half an hour or 35 minutes. So obviously they don't want to do that again today. I mean, you've got to say the Freiburg side will be a little bit tired as well, because how many games have they played recently? And it tends to be that same starting lineup that play most games. Obviously today it's just that classic first choice 11. I think obviously Jong is playing ahead of Salah, who's injured at the moment. But aside from that, it's the first choice 11. Doan and Grifo are going to have a big say on the game. Oh, it's a big chance already. Oh, how's it not gone in? Freiburg completely dominated in the first 2 minutes. I mentioned before that Köln conceded a lot of early goals, and they should be 1-0 down. They're just getting killed down that right flank. It's Grifo just completely pulling the strings, as often is the case with them. Yeah, but they've already had 2 chances in the first 2 minutes here, Freiburg, but it was well saved in the end by. Just having a check again there. Yes, it falls to Grifo and it's curled. It's pretty well saved. It's not the best effort in truth, but the cross coming in there, it went past about 3 players, including Jong and Grigoric, and then it's well saved by Schwebe in the end. But not a very good start from Köln here, Rory, at all, is it?
No, very quick start from the home side, looking to get those balls into the area. Almost fell for Jong. But it's a good curling effort by Grifo, the captain, and Schwebe. Yeah, it's been very busy indeed. Still in the side ahead of Timo Horn, as he's done so well since coming into the side. One of the few kind of Bundesliga teams that you feel have got 2 keepers who are actually capable. That was something that we spoke about on Monday, and we've seen it again with some of these replacement goalkeepers have not been covering themselves in glory over the last few match day weekends. There's been quite a lot of mistakes, but that's what we see a lot in the Bundesliga, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's a league which really excels in great goalkeeping. In truth, the Bundesliga is probably the biggest weak point actually of the league. Because we all love the fact there's goals left, right, and centre. Some of the attacking play and the midfield play is just amazing to watch. But like the goalkeepers, yeah, especially the second choice goalkeepers are utterly hopeless at times. If any of you watched the Leverkusen v Union Berlin game today, you'll realise that's what happens. Obviously, Renner missing his first game of the season, and that's what happens, when you get these second choice keepers. Lennart Grill came in, and especially on the second goal, which was the crucial one, really. What is he doing there? He just takes a shocking touch, gives the ball away to Diaby, and he basically runs the ball in from 40 yards out. And it's just a horrendous mistake. But we've seen a lot of them, over the season, really, with these second choice keepers, haven't we? I think one of the only capable ones I've seen is the guy at Leipzig so far. He's actually, in some ways, looked like an improvement on Gulazzi, actually, in some ways for me. But some of the other ones have just been utterly garbage, in my view, and it's, I guess it's one of them where I think in the Bundesliga, we know that the teams don't have the biggest budget, so they probably think, invest in one good goalkeeper, and then the second guy, just get the kit man, basically, to go in there. Because it often seems that way, to be honest. What have you made of it, Rory? Do you think Bundesliga teams need to spend a little bit more cash on a second choice keeper?
Oh, wow.
Good chance
just as we're talking.
well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just as we're talking about goalkeepers, Mark Flecken, we've given him the lurgy, haven't we? Talking about mistakes, because that was really poor distribution, literally straight out to was it Kynes who had the effort? I didn't quite see who had the shot. It was Florian. Yeah, Florian Kynes. Good twist and turn, and then Mark Flecken makes amends with a good low save, but it's a corner here for Cologne. Let's see what comes of this corner. Obviously, they've got the big man Tigges to try and hit in the box. Let's see if it's gone to the front post and it's well defended, but I think it's given for offside. So Freiburg can indeed rest up and get the ball back in play and restart. So just the first 5 or 6 minutes into this last game of match day 13 of the Bundesliga. So really looking forward to seeing how this game progresses, and hopefully both teams will be at the races and give us a good game, because naturally, as you mentioned, Mark, there's been a lot of football for both sides. Heartbreakingly for Cologne going out after that 2-2 draw in midweek against Nice. Of course, they've been playing even more condensed football, because the fact that they had their previous match day against Slovako, or just as we're kind of talking,
another chance,
another good cross, which is overhit by Freiburg. So they had to play on Friday a week ago, and then on the Sunday against Hoffenheim. So they're certainly going to be well tested in terms of their stamina and kind of chopping and changing their players, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I was a little bit surprised to see such a strong side out today. I mean, Kind seems to play every single match. I know he is probably the main player, but he must be getting a little bit tired because he plays twice a week, every single week, pretty much so far this season. But yeah, obviously we see a few guys that haven't played that much, like some Minor coming into the squad. I think he's played a bit recently, but he's not really a first choice for them. Obviously, Lubicic is out at the moment, so he's replacing him. Yeah, I definitely think, but Shaqiri, Martel, they've both been very good this season as well. I just think it's the defense for Cologne that worries me a little bit, really. I just think, I'm not overly convinced by Kylian, in truth. I think he got a red card in his last away game at Mainz as well. I'm not overly convinced by him. Schmitz also always has a mistake in him as well. Let's be honest. I think he's already got 2 or 3 own goals this season, Benno Schmitz. So, that'll definitely be, and we've already seen in the first 5 minutes of this game, really, that obviously, 8 minutes of the game, that Freiburg have got in 2 or 3 times already behind that back line. But, Cologne will be relatively happy. They've not conceded a goal. They could have had a goal themselves, obviously, from that Kind's effort from the Flecken mistake. But all in all, pretty even game, decent open start as well, which is what we want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cologne just trying to work the ball to get themselves an in through the Freiburg midfield. But Freiburg work well to win the ball back, and now themselves can launch an attack down the left-hand side. So, pretty even at the moment. Almost 10 minutes gone. There's Grifo on the ball. And yeah, it's currently a bit of a stalemate. But we've had a good couple of chances for Freiburg, and then that one chance for Cologne via the Mark Flecken effort. Make sure that you come into the chat and say hello if you're watching, regardless whether you know much about the game or not, or about the Bundesliga. Let us know what you think about both sides, or if you've got a general question about the Bundesliga or match week so far. Do let us know, as Cologne tried to get forward there, but a loose touch allows Flecken to launch the ball high up the pitch. But again, it's coming back, and Tigges will want to kind of link up a little bit better there, but Freiburg just struggling to get out of their half a little bit here, Mark. Bit of a sloppy phase of play, this.
Yeah, definitely it is. But I think it's good pressing. I do like Tigges as a striker. I really do. And I expect to see him improve more and more with more exposure to first team play. He's already got 3 or 4 Bundesliga goals this season, I think. So, I do like him. Obviously, good pressure there from him. For a big man as well. I think he's like 6'6" or something like that. So, gets around the pitch pretty well for such a big guy. But yeah, I think it's just these long balls coming in, isn't it, down the channels. I think Doan is really causing problems. Doan and Grifo are probably the main men, really, let's be honest, for Freiburg from an attacking perspective. I just think it's going to be a real challenge for this Cologne backline to deal with them. Both are really, really on form, especially Grifo as well, who, has just been one of the players of the season in the Bundesliga this year, as he often is, let's be honest. But I just think, it's not going to be easy, because Eggestein as well is an absolute colossus in that midfield for Freiburg. And, Shaqiri and Martel are going to have the work cut out to try and increase the possession stats of Köln, because Eggestein has been, again, one of the best midfielders in the league this year. It's, obviously the signing from Werder Bremen a couple of years ago, and he's turned out to be a great signing for them, hasn't he, Rory?
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, really, really good bit of business. That very rare that Freiburg do anything particularly bad in the transfer market. I think only one player that I can think of in recent times that didn't really work out. The club was it Santa Maria? Is that the right player I'm thinking of? Mm-hmm. Yeah, who came with a pretty good reputation, and that didn't quite work out, and he's since moved on. Just as Cologne are coming forward, poor touch, but still a good chance to whip it into the box, but well positioned, defending there at the near post, and Freiburg again can come away from it. But yeah, absolutely, Eggestein has been a really good player. Just as Freiburg now launching an attack with Doan down the right-hand side again. Oh, it is a clever pass, that, but just a little bit overhit. Sorry, it was Woo Yong Jong, I think, who was the player in possession, or was it Doan? No, it was Doan. But yeah, so some good attacking play down the right hand side, particularly so far from Freiburg. So interesting to see if they can get Vincenzo Grifo a little bit more involved in their build up. But I don't think he'll be too worried about that with only 12, 13 minutes on the clock, and both teams playing pretty energetically. Mark, as you say, it was a good press from Cologne a little bit earlier on, and Freiburg have just done the same to win possession back now inside the second or the attacking third, and they've got themselves a corner from it.
Yeah, and the corner just coming in now from Grifo. Oh, but it's well dealt with by. Oh, it's come out though, and the shot is blocked. It's going to drop back into the area. Bit of a scramble there, but they just about get it away, Cologne. Schwaber's already had quite a lot to do, actually, but he's done it well. Both keepers have done pretty well, apart from that obvious Flecker mistake, which he redeemed himself for. But yeah, it's been a high-quality opening. I just love watching Freiburg. I think the way they play football is just really, really good to watch, isn't it? And a lot of that is down to, that middle three, really, with Doan, Jong, and Grifo. All three of them are really, really technically gifted footballers. And I just think, with them three, with Grigorovic, who's like more of the old school classic target number 9, but he does really well to bring them into play, doesn't he? I just think the tactics that he plays, Streich, just really work well with this team. It's just, and then obviously they've got the kind of stable midfield with Höfler and Eggestein. It just they've got a great mixture of grit and skill in that team. And I just think they're one of the best balanced teams in the Bundesliga, which is why they're doing so well. Oh, and a shot coming in. Oh, surely for Freiburg, but it's a double save from Schwaber. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. How's that not gone in, really? Schwaber is having an absolute stormer of a game so far. I think he's already made 4 or 5 saves in the first 15 minutes, but that should have been 1-0 to Freiburg, really. I don't know if you've seen it on your screen, Rory, but one of them has got to be putting that in, haven't they?
Yeah, it's happened. Very good chance that. Some nice interchanging play again by Freiburg going forward. It really is enjoyable watching them play at this kind of tempo with this kind of nice chemistry as well. But yeah, would have liked to have seen maybe a more clinical effort. One of the 2 chances, certainly maybe the follow-up effort, but yeah, really, really good double save there from Schwaber. And we've been talking him up a little bit already so far during this match and show, and he's gonna earn his paycheck today, I think, because Freiburg certainly early on are looking like they are going to be playing pretty well this afternoon. Let's certainly hope so, as again Freiburg comfortably in possession here. Trying to go down the left-hand side. But again, Grifo now getting on the ball a little bit, coming deeper. And again, as you mentioned, Mark, that kind of the formation that they're playing allows the likes of Grifo, Woo Yong Jong, Ritso Doan to kind of interchange accordingly as and when they kind of see it. Obviously, Doan does stick towards the right-hand side a little bit more, I'd say, but it allows Grifo and Jong to kind of come into these deeper pockets and pick up the ball. Just as we're saying that, another chance here for a cross. Oh dear, that was terrible. But yeah, some nice dribble again there by Freiburg, Mark. But it's nice to see how fluid that front three is, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think all 3 are superb players. And I'm just looking at the XGs now. Freiburg are already on 1.25 after 15 minutes of the game. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know, really, doesn't it? I mean, I think Grigorovic, I do like him as a striker, but he is a little bit clumsy at times, and he really messes up that rebound, doesn't he, after Schwaber saves well from Doan. I think he works well in the team, but he's got to be burying that at the end of the day, and he kind of mishits it into the ground, and it's actually a really good rebound save as well from Schwaber. But yeah, 1.25, it's not often that you see such high stats after just 15 minutes, and Cologne are going to be a little bit worried, but at the same time, they might be relieved, but I just expect this nowadays from Freiburg, because every time I watch them, they play like this. They're just such a great team to watch, and it's just like they create chances left, right, and centre. And to be honest, most of the times they haven't won this season. They should have won, in truth. I think the only one game I've seen them this season was when they got battered at the Allianz. And I think, that can happen to anyone, let's be honest. But even when they lost to Dortmund, they should have won that game. That was another mistake probably Flecken's only mistake this season actually he made, and that cost him in that other defeat. But they've just been brilliant this season. Even in Europe, they beat Nantes 4-0 away from home. What a result that was, And they're playing well again today. And, just looking at that crowd as well, it's, a completely full stadium at the Europa Park stadium. Good away following from Köln as well, behind the goal that Freiburg are shooting into as well. And they always take massive away followings anyway. But, I'm sure it's a really good atmosphere there at Freiburg today as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of flags flying around in the ultra section, I presume, as we're closing in on 18 minutes gone into the first half. And it's certainly been 18 minutes of good quality football and one that Freiburg will certainly be feeling more positive about. Can see Steffen Baumgart on the side there, chewing his gum in his flat cap, patrolling ominously. You never want to be on the kind of the manager side of things, do you? When if Baumgart's team are not playing well, because you probably get an absolute rocket every 5 seconds from him, and you can see him kind of orchestrating the Cologne press and organisation from front to back. And I think his team are probably starting to realise that they need to pick their moments in regards to the press, Mark, because they can't just be going all guns blazing, because Freiburg will pick them apart, just as Freiburg take the chance to take a diagonal ball long. But Cologne are able again to mitigate the circumstances or the attack, and again some good cover play there as the ball goes out for a throw-in. But yeah, so what are you thinking so far from Cologne, Mark? Baumgart obviously probably won't be completely thrilled, but he'll also be happy that it's still 0-0 and his side have had one good chance, albeit not something that they created themselves.
Yeah, well, I mentioned that they wanted to get through the first 20 minutes without conceding. They have just about managed to do that, but I think more to do with missed chances, and obviously Schwaber as well, who's had a really good game so far in net for Köln. To be honest, I don't think they've been great, really. They just look like they're getting outclassed by what is a better team, ultimately. Do you know what I mean? And I think, as I mentioned before, they have struggled away from home this season. I think apart from one win when they beat Wolfsburg early on in the season, they haven't won any other away games. And I think they've also taken a few hidings away from home too, which obviously no less than the last game when they got smashed 5-0 at Mainz. Doan has just smashed another effort over when well placed. I think that's probably Doan's only fault, really. I mean, his build-up play is amazing, but his finishing isn't quite top drawer, is it? That's probably the one thing you'd say could improve with Ritsu Doan. But he's playing really well today, and he's just smashed a shot over when he's pretty well placed in the box. Yeah.
Yeah, good chance that for Doan, absolutely. And yeah, another player that is really enjoyable to watch. Maybe kind of reminds me a little bit of what we used to say about Daichi Kamada, but obviously this season is a completely different story. Where Kamada is taking his end product to the next level after several seasons of myself, you and Mark doing the Bundesliga show. That's kind of one thing that we often used to say about the Japanese international. Needed to work on his finishing, but at the moment, that's not the case for him at Frankfurt, but maybe Doan could have done a little bit better there as he snatched at the effort. Just at the moment, again, some really good pressing by Freiburg to win themselves a throw-in inside the final third of the pitch down the left-hand side. But it's, again, well defended, and Cologne can be happy with their work so far, but they need to find a way of posing a bit more of an attacking threat, Mark. And obviously Tigges, who I'll maybe ask you the question on him in a little while in terms of his transfer from Dortmund. He needs to obviously do a lot of good hold-up play and bring in the likes of Florian Kainz into the attacking third for Cologne if they're going to get anything from this game. So, do you think it was a good move for Tigges, at least getting some regular Bundesliga football. He has made a good impact in a lot of the games he's played. But it kind of makes you wonder as well that having obviously the horrible things that and news about Haller, whether he had stayed, whether he'd be getting a chance in a bigger, side that are doing well, retrospectively in Dortmund. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a fair point, but I still think that obviously Moukoko has not exactly done badly as a debutant in the last few weeks. As in, I still think Moukoko would have been given, I know the different kinds of centre forwards, you know what I mean? But Moukoko does play that number 9 role, even though he's a much slighter man, let's say, than Tigges. And, I think Tigges is a good club that have played European football. Obviously, that journey's over now. But, I mean, they had a good effort, got 8 points from the group, and we're only 1 goal ultimately away from progression. And obviously, it's a great club to play for. If you get the fans behind you at Cologne, then there's no better place to play than there. I'm one of the best supporters in the Bundesliga. And that's saying a lot because there's a lot of good supporters in the Bundesliga. But an awful giveaway there as well. But he's overrun it there, Grifo. Yeah, a bit of a mess up there from both players. I think it was Martel who gave the ball away in midfield, and then Grifo literally gave the ball straight back to Köln as well when he was well positioned. But yeah, I just think, Tigges, I expect more to come from him. I don't think he started badly by any means for Cologne, but I still think that he's not looking quite as good as what Modeste did, let's be honest, and what turned out to be a direct swap, between Modeste is struggling at Dortmund, and also Tigges. I wouldn't say he's struggling, but I think he's on 3-4 goals. Modeste got nearly 20 last season, so he's not going to get anywhere near those kind of numbers, I don't think. I think if he can get to 10 this season, he'll have had a good year as his first season as a first-team Bundesliga player, But I just think, I think also Cologne are missing Özcan as well. Obviously, who I think he was probably their best player last season, wasn't he? And I think, Martel's not a bad player, but he's not quite as good as Özcan for me. And I don't think Cologne had the best transfer window they're ever going to have, but they're still doing okay. They're not going to get relegated or be anywhere near relegation. And, they've not got the biggest budget in the league, so they'll be pretty happy. Just as another cross comes in from Freiburg, but it's blocked. What do you think about Cologne, Rory? Do you think how would you analyze their season so far? Because they're in a bit of kind of no man's land in a way, aren't they, really?
Well, yeah, I kind of agree with what you're saying to an extent. It's been hard to get a full read on them. They've not been as, spectacular, and they've been on the receiving end of a couple of poor results. But at the same time, I think early on in the season, they were only one of 3 teams that hadn't lost a game for the first at least 6 or 7 match days, true. I think it was. So they're completely secure in the way that, they don't often take, these big L's. And it's tough. It's tough to play the way that Steffen Baumgart wants his teams to play, throughout a normal season, let alone a season where they're back in Europe for the first time in a long while, having to play twice a week. And as you say, their squad is not blessed with, 20 to 30 really high level players so that you can interchange all the time. So I think they've done a good job so far this season, but ultimately, obviously, what's the goal? What did Baumgart and the board members want to achieve at the start of the season? Probably would have liked to have progressed in the Conference League, just as Ritsu Doan is going down the right hand side again, very tricky, quick feet, and the cross again ultimately comes to nothing. So a bit of a lull in the game. Hence why we're kind of diverting our thoughts right now. So yeah, what do you think, Mark? Would Baumgart just be expecting to have a half decent run in Europe, which they obviously gave a great effort of, and just basic Bundesliga survival, or the club's ambitions going to be a lot higher now because of what they achieved last season?
No, I actually think they're a very reasonable club, Cologne. And to be honest, I think on budget alone, they're probably like 13th or 14th in truth in the Bundesliga. They don't have a big budget. And, as I mentioned before, they lost two key players last season, arguably the two most key players in the whole squad. Modeste, who was a goal scorer, then obviously Özcan, who was like the kind of ball-winning midfielder and the box-to-box midfielder, really, you could say. They lost both of them, both to Dortmund, and let's be honest, they didn't really replace either with like a top quality replacement. So, I think the board will have taken that into consideration. I think what Baumgart did last season, I think he ended up winning the manager of the season? I think he did, didn't he? And he deserved that for getting a side with a budget, probably 13th or 14th to the top 7, as well as playing that amazing brand of football, which we see, and at times have also seen this season, but not as much as last season, I wouldn't say. But, they're not a club that can really back him in the window. That's the problem. And as we've seen, they barely spent a penny really this season, despite a European run and receiving, I think, probably 10 million combined for Özcan and Modeste. So I think, to an extent, survival would have been the goal. But I think, to be honest, Baumgart himself would have had higher standards, because I know he does rate himself as a manager, and I think rightly so as well, because he's had success everywhere he's been, especially at Cologne. But I think, for me, realistically, staying up would have been the goal. Almost an intercepted, again, pressing there from Doan, and Cologne just about get it clear. I think they are doing a little bit better the last 10 minutes, though, Cologne. Mostly due to Freiburg kind of dropping off from that very good first 20 minutes. Benno Schmitz is just going to take a throw in very deep into his own half at the moment. But Freiburg will be frustrated because they know there should be probably a 1-0 will be a fair score at the moment. It's not been like a super open game, especially the last 10 minutes. But, I think Cologne did definitely take a draw from this game overall, but it's not Baumgart's style to just sit back and defend. If you look at the team lineup today, they've gone with obviously Tigges, a very similar tactics to Freiburg, actually, but I would say man for man, for me, in pretty much every position, Freiburg have got the superior player. Would you agree with that, Rory?
Not far off, yeah. Probably an argument for a couple of players here and there, but yeah, the quality is there for Freiburg. They've got to be highly motivated, haven't they, by this opportunity to go into second into the league. Obviously as a result of earlier games, and they want to finish strongly before the end of the season. Before the World Cup break, of course, but face two really big games coming up, Mark, as they face RB Leipzig away and then host Union Berlin before the World Cup break. So, if it wasn't already evident that they need to win today, with the fixture they've got coming up, they're really tough challenges for them, aren't they? And they'll have to be on top of their game to make sure that they try and get any points from that, really. Just as
definitely.
a Freiburg win a corner.
And the corner just coming in, but it's cleared again. And they've done well on those corners so far, a mixture of the defence and the goalkeeper. Freiburg have gone right back to Flecken, who's going to launch a long ball, and they don't often go long, but they have done here. And it's ended up being a throw-in for Freiburg. Game got a little bit scrappy the last 10 minutes, but that'll suit Cologne, really, because I mentioned if they can get through that first 20 minutes, they'll improve and they'll get confidence from that. And I just think, they do, as I mentioned before, they give a lot of early goals away, especially away from home, even at home at times too. Cologne has been a big problem for them this season. And, after they got rid of that through that first 20 minutes, they were very lucky, let's be honest, to go in level. The XG shows almost 1.5 just in the first half an hour here for Freiburg, which is way higher than usual, But, they'll be quite confident at the moment. Soldo is looking quite solid in there. Probably their best defender, I would say, for me. Schwaber will definitely be high on confidence after making 3 or 4 good saves early on in the match. I just think they're struggling to get the front line involved, aren't they, Köln? They've barely been forward since that chance from Kainz. Although I say that, Tigges has got the ball now deep into the Freiburg half, lays it off well to the left wing. Going to be a cross coming in. It looks a decent cross too, but it's just about headed out by Leinart. And it's now back with Grifo, who should maybe win a free kick. No, he pulls himself out of it there. Oh, the ref's given a free kick, but Grifo wants to continue. But yeah, he's going to go back for the free kick. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably say Cologne right now will probably be slightly the happier of the two, even though Freiburg have played better. You know, as you mentioned, Freiburg know they need to win the game. The goal this season will be Champions League for them. There's no question about that now. They know they've got the quality to win games at this level. They know they've got the quality to win games at Europa League level. So they definitely, you know, the goal will be to be for the first time in history to get in the Champions League. And along with Union Berlin, who obviously they play before the winter break, it's going to be very interesting, you know, because I think both of these sides will believe that they can get in it. Oh, chance again from well blocked there by Kylian. Oh, it's a great chance again. They got in deep, but Kylian has made a really good block there, actually, right on the, just as it was about to go on target. He gets in the way ahead of Schweber. It was actually Eggestein, I think, who took the shot in the end, but it was, let me check that for you. No, it was Kubler, actually, up from right back, who had the shot. It's going to be a corner now for Freiburg. But yeah, as I mentioned, they do need to win this game, really, if they want to keep that top four ambitions going, because, you know, obviously Leipzig are improving now. Gladbach are improving. The corner comes in. Ooh. It's cleared, but just about, yeah. It's all a bit scrappy at the moment, really, isn't it? I think Rory, yeah. But would you say that's realistic to say that Freiburg will be aiming for Champions League this season?
Yeah, I think it is now. Yeah, 100%. I think that's got to be the goal. Let's face it, you know, Leverkusen, barring huge amount of Xabi Alonso miracles, are surely out of the question. I know obviously it's going to be a strange season with the World Cup break, so obviously teams can come back into things, but the start that they've had, the quality that they have, the only thing that's going to stop them from doing so is obviously a long run in the Europa League, and yeah, obviously have to see who they get drawn against. But because they top their group, they go straight into the quarterfinals. So I think, yeah, has to be Champions League football for me. I think that's completely achievable. In as much as I think Union are now starting to drop off a little bit, and we'll have to see how they go for the rest of the match weeks until the World Cup break. Just got a bit of an injury break here, as it looks like. I can't see who the player was who went down for Freiburg, but the referee is going to restart the match in a moment. So 35 minutes gone here on Over the Bar Watchalong, Freiburg versus Cologne. It's the first time we've covered either of these two teams as a watch-along, so really nice to do a couple of different teams so far this season. But unfortunately, no goals just yet. But Freiburg have been looking the more likely, and let's hope that we can get ourselves a goal before half-time mark. But both teams very settled into their respective shapes, and you know the onus is on Freiburg to try and break through the defensive set of Cologne, and obviously the best way of doing so is winning the possession high up whilst Cologne are out of shape. But right now it just feels quite scrappy again, doesn't it, Mark? Although there's, again, bit hit and miss by both teams right now. The quality's kind of dipped, I would say, after a good quality start to the game from both sides.
Yeah, I think, again, the game probably needed Freiburg to score early on, you know, and like they should have done at the end of the day. But I think this is a good play from Cologne. They've learned from a poor opening 20 minutes, and the second, 15 minutes has been a lot better. You know, they're getting a lot closer to the Freiburg men. They're not giving, especially Grifo. It seems as though there's a couple of men on Grifo at the moment. It seems as though a lot of the onus is on Doan so far to do the attacking, but he's had a good game and a bad game at the same time. You know, some of his build-up play has been really good, but he's hit a few crosses and had a couple of shots which he maybe should have done a little bit better with. But yeah, I think it'll suit Cologne. This is what they want, really. You know, as you mentioned, they definitely take a point from this after such a high-pressure game against Nice. You know, which they played well in that game, but again, it was a second half performance, wasn't it? And the other thing that we've not mentioned so far with Cologne is that they've definitely been a second half team so far this season. And I think if they go in at 0-0 level, they'll maybe fancy nicking a win because, you know, as I mentioned, Freiburg, they seem to play the same team pretty much every week. And I know that they played a reserve team against Karabakh in Azerbaijan in midweek, but you know, a lot of these players have already played close to 20 games this season, or maybe more than 20 games, and we're only in early November. So, you know, there are going to be a few relatively tired or achy legs out there for Freiburg. They've still got 2 games to go until the break as well, let's be honest. And as you mentioned, against Leipzig and Union, which are 2 big games if they want to get in the top 4. Especially against that Leipzig side who are just battering everyone home and in Europe, let's be honest, at the moment. But yeah, they've got a long throw coming in now from Freiburg. Not very good. That one is easily cleared. I think Freiburg need to go back to getting the ball on the ground like they were earlier in the game. You know, they seem to be going a little bit long too often the last 10 minutes or so, and that suits Cologne because they're a big side, aren't they? You know, and I just think Freiburg's main skill lies playing football on the ground, really, despite the fact, obviously, they do have Grigorovic who can, you know, be that kind of aerial presence. But what do you think, Rory? What do Freiburg need to do to kind of get back on top in this game?
They just need to up the tempo again, don't they? I think they've settled into what is probably a more comfortable pace for them, but in order to break down, you know, what will be a kind of a back 6 in effect with the 2 holding midfielders, they're going to have to be able to do their passing interchanges quite quickly, like kind of Doan did a little bit earlier on to get his shot away for that double chance. So yeah, they need to just keep at that kind of high tempo. Whether they need to kind of just take a break at half time to get the energy back in the legs, or Streich looks to the bench to maybe freshen things up a little bit. But right now they're kind of not meandering along, but they're struggling to kind of find those key passes as they went along again there, but they took a quick throw in, and they've got, again, it's fairly well defended. Some chat in the comment section from Ballum. So good evening, Ballum. Just as Cologne are coming forwards down the right hand side, good opportunity to get across in here. 1-on-1 defending is good, and Freiburg defend well. Again, both sides doing a pretty decent job of stopping the service right now, Mark. Although it is a corner to the away side, defending has been of a fairly high quality, I have to admit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think especially from Cologne, as you mentioned. But yeah, I think Freiburg are pretty much always solid defensively, aren't they? You know, I think what their defensive record is one of the best in the league. You know, I think obviously Miner's had a few chances as well to get the ball in, and he's done nothing. Oh, that corner came in. It was headed across by Tigges, and I think it was Miner who almost got onto it at the corner. One of the best chances of the match, actually, there. Oh, it's a little bit unlucky. It's a really good flick on from Tigges, but I don't know who it was, actually. It's the man in the mask. Whoever's wearing the mask, it was who kind of jumped in and had a chance, really, to get the goal for Cologne. But I mean, it was quite comfortably past him in the end, but it was good play from Tigges, and that's what he can offer, you know, that kind of, that aerial presence on set plays and things. And now Cologne have got a free kick from a foul on Duda. So it's going to be, not close enough to shoot, but it's a good position to whip a good cross in here. I'd imagine it'll be Kainz who stands over it, which it is. So it's going to come in a minute. Decent chances for Cologne. This is probably one of the best opportunities to get the ball in that box towards Tigges and see what can happen, really. Yeah, Kainz stands over it. They're just about 42 minutes on the clock at the moment. Kainz crosses it in. It's one of those low floated ones, but it's to the back stick. It reaches Miner, who puts a good ball in. Oh, it's flicked over by... Who is he? The man in the mat is Shaqiri. It's Shaqiri who just kind of it was a decent chance, their best chance of the game by far. Good play from Miner, and it's not easy. They're never easy, those kind of finishes, because he's got to redirect the ball, but he just smashes it over the bar. Probably should have hit the target, Rory, there, really, shouldn't he?
Yeah, it's hard one of those ones. Also you want to try and redirect the ball by just obviously using the pay. It takes a bit of a nasty bobble as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
And obviously he's level with the near post, so he has a bit more work to do as well. So he has to put a bit more kind of effort into the flick. But yeah, that would have been a goal against the run of play. But right now, still 0-0. We're hoping for a goal before half time here. Good long ball there for Tigges to almost get under control, and he would have been in loads of space there if he brought that down. So that was quite a loose bit of marking or defending by Freiburg there for once, as Gunter is fouled, and an opportunity for Freiburg just to maybe take a bit of sting out of this fairly quick finish to the half by Cologne, Mark. And then, I think they might have to just have a bit of a reset at half time and think, about the best way. Streich will be considering his options on the bench as to how they can maybe improve the scoreline in their favour. At half time, which obviously is coming up, we'll have a quick chat through the rest of the results so far this weekend and what we've kind of picked out of that. And just a reminder that we won't be doing a show tomorrow because we are doing another live show on Tuesday night, a bit of a kind of a midweek special as we've got games going on that evening. So we'll be reacting to the early match on Tuesday night, and we'll be it won't be a watch along as such. It'll be more the fact that me and Mark will be watching the games and kind of just keeping you a bit up to date. So a bit of a kind of Gillette Soccer Saturday vibe to it. So make sure you tune in on Tuesday night for that. So that will be good fun. And you can all enjoy my reactions while Stuttgart are playing as well. Huge game against Hertha on Tuesday evening. The game has become pretty scrappy, unfortunately. And it's throwing on the right-hand side for Freiburg right now. Hopefully the second half we can breathe some new life into it and have a really entertaining 45 minutes. But in fairness, Mark, the first 25 minutes of the match was really good, good level of football. But since then, Cologne got themselves into a good shape and have made it hard work for Freiburg going forward since then.
Yeah, definitely. Fair play to Cologne. I think they've done well, but I think Freiburg, I'm not quite sure why they keep going long to Grigoric, because I don't think that's the best way that they could play, in my opinion. I do like it when they use that kind of three, obviously, as I've mentioned before, John, Grifo, and Doan, but neither have been effective in the last 20 minutes at all. I just think they're struggling a little bit. And, Cologne will be happy because they played well. I mentioned that they do concede a lot of goals this season, but today, after that first 20 minutes, they've looked really, really good. And it is halftime. It's quite a common thing that in the Bundesliga that they don't play any added on time, isn't it? You never see that in the Premier League, but it is. He's not played a single second of added on time. And it is halftime, and it's 0-0 between Freiburg and Köln. Yeah, just to come to a couple of comments as well. I see Ballum, you put a few questions in there. Yeah, so hello, you two. Do you think Bayer Leverkusen can win the UEFA Cup? What a win today. Is Xabi Alonso is a Bayern legend, especially with today's result. Yeah, I definitely think they'll be sending him an early Christmas present for that one. But I don't know if you watch the games, but, the first half was just a complete non-event. But fair play to Leverkusen. I think they had the better tactical system for this particular game. And while being helped by Lennart Grill, the stand-in Union goalkeeper, they were by far the better side. And once they had the first goal, they played really, really well after that. And, I do hope Xabi Alonso does well, but obviously he's not had the best start. I think that's only his second win in like 7 or 8 games. But, it is a big win for them, and they'll hope they can kick on and get more confidence now. But, yeah, can they win the Europa League? I would say right now, no. But I think, with a good, solid... You've got to remember in Germany, teams are going to get... pretty much 2.5, 3 months off. So, there's going to be a lot of work going on in the training ground for the players that are not involved with the World Cup. And I think that's when Alonso can really get his system sorted. I do believe he can be a good coach because I know he's highly rated. I wouldn't say he's exactly set the world alight so far in his first 10 games in all competitions or so, but I do have confidence he can be good. And maybe then if they can come out flying, in January, the end of January when we pick back up in the Bundesliga, I think, They do have a very, very good squad. And just the last couple of games, I've seen Diaby's getting back to his old form. Today he was brilliant, and I think he was good in the last game I watched them as well. So, yeah, we'll just have to see with them. I would say they could be contenders, but I would actually say out of the 3 teams that are going to be in the Europa League after Christmas from Germany, I'd say Freiburg actually have the best chance of winning it. I just think, they're obviously through to the last 16 as well, whereas Leverkusen and Union will go into the last 32. Because I think nowadays they play an extra round, don't they, Rory? I think so. Union and Leverkusen will have to play a team an extra round, I think, yeah.
Yeah, they have to go through the playoff rounds, but I was under the impression that Freiburg winning the group go through to the last 8, but maybe I've overcalculated.
No, I think it's 16. I think it's the last. They have to play because the same happened with Frankfurt last year. They won the group, but they avoid that very difficult playoff round because they'd have to play a team from the Champions League, which could be the likes of Juventus or Union Berlin are going to be in that position, and also Man United. Rory's own Man United will also be in that position. If you finish runners-up, you have to go through an extra round. So. And also it's against one of the Champions League sides. But I guess it's mixed. You could play someone like Juventus, but then at the same time you could play someone like, I don't know, Shakhtar Donetsk or someone like that. So it's a little bit varied who you get really in that round. But I would say Freiburg have a great chance, and I would like to see Leverkusen really fulfill the potential and go deep into that competition as well.
Yeah, it's a chance for them to, just really focus on that. Obviously, they want to pull themselves away from the relegation zone, which I think inevitably they will do in time. Obviously, against the side who have now dropped into the bottom 3. But yeah, they could have a real good go at it. As you've asked Spallum, don't think it'll be a win for them, but they can certainly give it, a really good whirl and see how far they get. What else has been going on? Ballon mentioning Freiburg to win 5-0 against Cologne in the second half, like Leverkusen. To see about that one. And I'm not sure if there's been any more questions in since then. So we'll just kind of start to review the match week so far. So starting on Friday night, Borussia Mönchengladbach 3, VfB Stuttgart 1. Straight in the evening for my lot. They need to get over this habit of constantly being 1-0 down in the first 10 minutes. It's really hindering them in terms of just being in the contest from the start, really. I thought they played fairly okay. Could have got something from that second half. That good save in the second half from Guirassy at the near post. From Sipel was quite, one that sticks out to me, Mark. But Gladbach getting themselves back to winning ways after a bit of a rough few match days, haven't they?
Yeah, I think obviously the return of Jonas Hoffmann really helped them as well. He obviously got that goal inside the first 4 or 5 minutes. I just think, Gladbach looked really good, but also I thought whenever I watch Stuttgart, I always think, how do this team win so few games? Because some of the build-up play is really, really good. So they play good football, Stuttgart. That's the thing. And, I thought they really played well, but it's just a strange one, isn't it? Like, they just, defensively, they're not great. Let's be honest. They don't defend well as a unit, and I just think, my opinions on Florian Müller. I mean, he didn't make any mistakes in this, but I don't think he's a great goalkeeper. I think he's one of the weakest keepers in the league, starting keeper. He didn't make any mistakes in this game, to be fair, but I just think they're not that bad of a team. Stuttgart. I just think it's a really strong Bundesliga this year. I've got to be honest. I don't think there's many bad teams in there. I think aside from Schalke and Bochum away from home, Bochum at home are a different side, but away from home, obviously the poor. Schalke look the poorest side by a distance to me, but it's going to be hard to predict a team to go down because I watch the likes of Stuttgart and Hertha Berlin, and I think both in years gone by that have been mid-table sides with this the way they're playing, but obviously teams are picking up results. Everybody's capable, and there's a very strong mid-table in there this year. I still believe the likes of Gladbach and Hoffenheim have improved, even though the results are not always perfect, but performance-wise have improved for me from last season. And I just think, It's a tough one for Stuttgart because I think we were talking through the game, Rory, and I didn't think they played bad at all. I really didn't. They've got a few weak links to like Stenzel, and obviously my old friend. I think both of our friends, Chris Furyk. I mean, he had an absolute nightmare in that game. But they've also got some really good players like Borna Souza could play for. He's been linked with some of the top teams in Europe, and he deserves it as well. And I think I do like Garassi as well. Garassi's good. Endo's good.
Yeah.
There's a few others in there as well that are real good players. And I don't think they're a bottom three side, but they just don't win games of football for whatever reason. They don't win enough games of football. And it's been like that for about a year and a half now, hasn't it, Rory?
Yeah, obviously their away form's absolutely tragic. They can't win away from home. They get the boost from the home support, which is obviously fantastic. And they got that crucial win against Augsburg the other week. Got the bounce, the post manager bounce, and they beat Bochum as you'd expect. But yeah, they often play pretty well, but ultimately winning games of football is the most important thing. So yeah, we'll have to see. Ballum's just asked about Stuttgart having money problems. I know it's a fact that, in recent years, Stuttgart have been trying to balance the books, in the fact that when they were selling the likes of Nico Gonzalez, who of course was a brilliant player, great shame to see him leave the Bundesliga completely as well. Obviously, Kobel left as well, and after those players leaving, the club would then on a bit more of an even keel financially, but still I don't think they've picked up that much, Mark. So yeah, I think it's in answer to Ballum's question, it's definitely something that's on the card for Stuttgart, and that they can't go into the market in January and the winter and just kind of splurge a load of money on players. They're going to have to rely on the youth players and some of these players that they get on a free, like Girassi, looks like a good move and stuff. But some of them also don't look brilliantly capable. Pfeiffer's not done great since coming into the team. That Pereira, who's also a striker, barely seen him play. Zagadou, free transfer. He's got a number of errors in him, playing in a pretty leaky defence. So it's going to be hard work for Stuttgart. I don't want to labour the point too much and stay too long talking about them. But yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. But maybe we'll move on to talk about more cheery things. So maybe more cheery in the sense of BVB, who got themselves a fairly comfortable 3-0 win over Bochum. Quick start, played pretty well, and did the job you'd expect them in front of a home crowd, Signal Iduna Park, over still struggling Bochum. So fairly expected result there, Mark, and Dortmund now starting to push on a little bit more again before the World Cup break.
Yeah, I think it's a funny one. I think we talked about Dortmund in midweek, Rory. On the one side, I think, they're doing really well. Like, they're 2-3 points off top of the league. You can't complain about that. They are, they're 3 points behind Bayern, which is still fine at this stage of the season, But I just said they're through in the Champions League, and it's all okay on one side, but I still don't see a proper style of play from them. Do you know what I mean? I think they're getting lucky quite a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought last week against Frankfurt, how they won that game, I really don't know. And even this game, they got a few bits of luck. They got a bit of a soft penalty, and then Bochum scored a goal, which was very, very narrowly offside, wasn't it? Let's be honest. And then, it seemed as though we know that Bochum don't travel very well this season at all. They've been battered in most of the away games. But for me, this wasn't a 3-0 encounter at all. I think, it was more like a 2-1 kind of game, really, to Dortmund. I think they didn't play amazingly well. And it's a weird one because I just think, but they keep winning games. And the season is in a good position at the moment, Dortmund. They would have taken this. They're through in the Champions League, as I say. The 2 good performances against Man City. But it's just, I don't know. Like, if I had to say, whether I thought who would go furthest in Frankfurt, Leipzig, and Dortmund, I would say Dortmund have less chance of going far out of those 3 sides. And it's just because I just think I just find them a funny side. I really do. I find Dortmund a funny side. As I say, they've had really a lot of luck this season to be within 3 points. I think they should have lost to Frankfurt. They should have lost at Freiburg earlier in the season. And I just think, they have had the luck has shined on them quite a lot this season. And do you think I'm being harsh, Rory, or do you think I'm being fair, really?
Well, obviously, I think we have to take into account that they've had a great deal of injuries, and they've had obviously a huge part of their plans for this season thrown out the window by the Haller of unfortunate news and situation. They've almost, funny way of putting it, but like they've sleptwalked their way through the season in the fact that there have been times where they've played great football, but I think that, as you mentioned, Mark, whether they've got lucky in certain games or maybe that they've relied on individual bits of brilliance. So like Bellingham just doing it himself, or a Rafa Guerrero worldie, or a great bit of keeping by Kobel, because he's been fantastic, hasn't he? Really,
he's been a great
since signing him. He is the so he's the keeper they've been missing. That really helps. And but if Dortmund get going and the likes of Adeyemi and Gio Reyna and Daniel Marlon can actually start performing consistently, and Julian Brandt seen a bit more consistent play. Bellingham's just next level. Obviously, it's just about the striking kind of conundrum. They need Royce back, of course. But they've done well up to this point to still be in with a chance. And if they start, if they get on a run after the World Cup, then who knows what might happen. It's certainly an interesting one for me. And Bochum, we're unfortunate with that disallowed goal. Yeah, absolutely. But right now it's still looking quite difficult for them. But can they pick up some points before the end of the this cycle? We'll have to see. The Hinrunde, shortened version anyway. But over to a game that we might not have expected to be the result. Mainz losing 3-0 at home, Mark, to Wolfsburg. Bit of a shock, that one, and Wolfsburg now starting to show a bit of form themselves and actually scoring goals as well.
Yeah, again, this was one. Mainz are another side. They fly out of the blocks, but that first 15 or 20 minutes often decides how their match goes with Mainz. They pretty much always dominate. It doesn't matter who they play against, but they always get chances in that first 20 minutes. But if they score them, they go on and win. If they don't score them, they get battered in general. That's the way it goes with them. And I think this was another classic case. Like, they had so many chances early on. They could have been 2-0 up in the first 20 minutes. They had a shot off the post, a couple of good saves from Castells, but I think that's what's changed with Wolfsburg recently. They've got that steel back that they had under Oliver Glasner, and I think they're working harder for each other. And I thought after that first 20, 25 minutes, they played really well. I think Wimmer has been a great signing for them. Since he came back into the team, he's been brilliant, really. I think he's a really good player, Wimmer. Playing in a better team now, he looks even better than he did at Bielefeld, I think. I also think, Arnold has been brilliant this season as well. I mean, what an effort that was for the second goal. I mean, I think he did mean it as well. It was that insane free kick. The ball was moving like this, wasn't it? And Zentner, who is actually a pretty solid goalkeeper, he was just completely confused by it. He ended up sailing into the back of the net. And then the resurgent Baku got the third goal, didn't he? And he didn't have a good season last year, ended up being out of the team, but he's back on form again this season. I just think, I think I tipped Wolfsburg for a top six. I think I tipped them for sixth, and you thought I was mad, But I think at the early season, it looked like you were right, to be honest, because they were garbage the first 5 or 6 games. But I think they're on about an 8-match unbeaten run in all competitions, and I think 7 in the Bundesliga as well. So, but I think a real test for them is going to be against Dortmund on the midweek, because I do believe this Dortmund side is beatable. And if Wolfsburg can win that game, they're going to be right up there into the European places.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was an interesting one. A bit of a rare off day for Mainz, perhaps. What else did we have? Good away win for Leipzig again. They're still coming on strong. Good away wins for them, Frankfurt and Bayern, Mark. To try and cluster these results up a little bit more, because the second half will be starting relatively soon. Looking at Bayern, looked like they were cruising, but again, Hertha showing some really good character. And much like Stuttgart, they're a team that often, certainly this season, play quite well, but just don't get the results.
Yeah, I think they're similar sides, as you say. They're very similar sides. They play some really neat football, but they just, I don't know, like they don't seem to score enough goals, even though they do okay going forward, and they concede at bad times, don't they? It's hard to pinpoint what the problem is, because I think even the fans came out and announced that they're actually really happy with what Sandro Schwartz is doing there, and it's not like them, because they tend to be quite a negative fan group, but I think they announced that they're really happy with his tactics and his style and what he's done. But at the end of the day, they won 2 games out of 14. Do you know what I mean? Which is not enough. 13, sorry. Which is still a poor return at the end of the day, And I think it's very hard to know. Sometimes that's what happens in football, isn't it? It's just, I mean, they did concede a couple of really poor goals. Those Choupo-Moting goals should have been prevented at the end of the day. That was just poor defending. But they do show character, and a lot of the players are showing a desire that they haven't done before in the Hertha shirt. And they're another one that I believe that if they can get, back-to-back wins at some point, they will go on and maybe push up to mid-table, to be honest. I think they're a decent team. And I do see potential in the side, but much like Stuttgart, they've got to start winning games soon and on a more regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming in from Greg. So good evening, Greg. Hope you're enjoying the watch along, saying that I don't see Bayern slowing down. Yeah, pretty hard to not agree with your point, to be honest there, Greg. They look like they're just hitting their stride. Perfect timing in a way, whether the World Cup gets in their way, whether they lose players during the World Cup or they lose that momentum. But yeah, all things considered, we expect Bayern to be top before the World Cup starts. So normal services resumed in effect. So we'll come to a few questions in a moment from Ballum, but a second half to keep a nice close eye on as Freiburg, we're about a minute into the second half, they'll be looking to make a quick start, as they did indeed make to the first half, really, but weren't able to capitalise. Looked like a cross was swung in there, but it went out eventually for a goal kick, Mark. So you're looking forward to the second half. What do we expect? To see a bit more intensity from Freiburg to try and get that initial goal. Same sort of model by the away side, though, to kind of absorb that pressure, look for opportunities on the break, and then maybe get something from a set piece.
Oof, when that free kick just came, it was well played by Grifo, actually, and the ball came out, and he put a good ball was put in by the right back there. But again, it's I think it was Eggestein who had the shot in the end. It's just kind of almost knocked Jong out. Yeah, it was Grigoric, who I'll be honest hasn't had the best game today actually so far. Grigoric, he's looked a bit clumsy up there. He's one of those players, isn't he, Grigoric? He either looks like a world beater or just like a clumsy. Do you know what I mean? And today's been one of the latter, unfortunately for him. But I think, I'd just like to see Freiburg get the ball on the floor again. And they have started this half well again. Doan, it must be a penalty. Surely a penalty, that. Oh, he's taken Doan from behind. The ref's not giving it. I think he's given a goal kick, but he's got to check that on VAR. On first analysis, that looked like a penalty to me. He went through behind him there. I think it was Benno Schmitz. Come on, what? It's got to be a penalty. We're seeing the replay now.
Does he make contact or not? I don't know.
Oh, I think that's a penalty. I think the ref's giving it as though he's got the ball, but it doesn't look like he's got the ball to me. I don't know. It could have been a dive, though. It's one of them. It's I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm probably not getting given this, so it looks a penalty to me. What do you think, Rory?
Nah.
He's not giving it though. Actually, he's not giving it because it's already out for a throw.
Yeah. Because the referee's not giving it initially, VAR probably won't see enough to overturn the decision. So yeah, at the moment we're now back with a throw in for Freiburg. So close on that. Interesting to see what people's thoughts are. Do you comment in the chat whether you think that's a pen or not? Just as we've got an injury in the area here for Cologne, so the game will be kind of paused for a moment again there. But yeah, some nicer play by Freiburg, and like we just said, they started the half a lot more promisingly. So I'm not sure if we're going to get a replay of the injury by the looks of it from that corner. But yeah, almost a penalty, almost had a bit of excitement there, but Freiburg again getting the ball into the area, not quite for the home fans to cheer a goal just yet in Europa Park. So we've got Gunter down the left-hand side here. Grifo again, getting that, the ball in the area. Doan again here. Just in the corner. That's pretty clumsy by Kynes, but gets away with it, and it's a throw into the away side there, Mark. Again, Steffen Baumgart's lads are holding on just about.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be honest. I think I'm surprised he didn't have more of a look at that, to be honest, because I'm normally one that's not for like soft penalties, but for me it looked as though he went quite hard in there. I don't know. I often find that the slighter players, because he's not a big guy, Doan, is he at all? I often feel as though they don't get as many penalties in some ways, especially in England. I think nowadays those kind of players do get a lot of penalties. Jack Grealish springs to mind, But I think definitely in Germany they don't tend to get as many penalties. The smaller guys, I think it was a little bit harsh. That I'm going to be honest. I think it was more a penalty than not, in my opinion. But they didn't check it, and Cologne have got away with that one a little bit for me. A long throw-in is going to come in here from Cologne, who managed to get for the first time in the second half into the Freiburg half. Benno Schmitz is going to go for one of his long throws. He's already moved the hoardings at the side as well to get as much distance as possible. I would imagine they're going to aim for Tigges. He does have a good throw on him, but it's easily cleared in the end. But yeah, Cologne have got the ball back in a good position right in the middle of the Freiburg half. They made a bit of a mess up of that, but he just about got away with it. It looked as though he played a short pass there, Benno Schmitz, but he's got away with it. They go long to Tigges. But yeah, Freiburg have definitely started the second half better. They'll be happier. As I say, for me, they should have had a penalty, but I think, if they can get Doan and maybe Grifo a little bit more as well on the ball, then they're going to cause Cologne problems. And I think Cologne could potentially tire as the half wears on, because, most of these players played on Thursday night as well. But yeah, it's for me, I'm still going to stick with Freiburg. Will find a way through. I think it'll be 1 or 2-0 from what I've seen so far. Not really seen that much to believe that Cologne will score here today. Well, what do you think, Rory? Are you still sticking with a Freiburg win, or do you think Cologne can get something?
Yeah, I still think we'll get. Yeah, I still think we'll get the goals. It might just be a matter of that first goal going in and then forcing the away side to come out with their shells a little bit more, which will open the
big chance for Freiburg. Is 1-1 goal. Goal for Freiburg. Tor.
1-0. There we go.
Yeah. Do you want to take us through it, Rory?
Yeah, nicely through on goal. Yeah, nicely through on goal, played in, and it's a really tidy finish actually. And into the right-hand bottom corner, Wu Jongyong is the Freiburg man of the moment. Yeah, lovely finish that, and the Freiburg fans are elated, jubilated, everything you can think of. Gave Schwaber no chance of saving that one. Really nice finish, and yeah, probably deserved it from the match so far. And again, it's just come from obviously Cologne having the ball in Freiburg's penalty area and well stolen away. They advance the ball really quickly. Jong is in an absolute barrel load of space. They work a 2-on-2, pulls away nicely into the space. Schwaber's positioning, I think, is a bit dodgy there, Mark. It's not. Our show isn't just about having a go at goalkeepers. We promise to all you goalkeepers out there. But yeah, I think maybe his positioning is a bit too close to his near post there, perhaps. If there are any goalkeepers in the comments, do let me know. But felt like maybe he could have done slightly better on his positioning. But ultimately, it's a 1-on-1, so you expect the striker to put it into the back of the net, which he has done. So our first goal of our watch-along this Sunday for the last game of match day 13, and a great opportunity for Freiburg to, at the moment, as things stand, go second in the Bundesliga. So, yeah, we've had 54 minutes. So let's hope that Cologne can come out of their shell, and we can have really entertaining end-to-end second half and loads of goals for you all to enjoy and watch. For all that are watching, thank you very much for joining us. Please do smash a like on the show. Comment along as well. We've got some questions from Ballon that we need to come to in a moment when we get a spare second. And if there are any other questions, we promise we will try and get to them also. And obviously, please do subscribe to the channel. We've managed to get over the 700 mark, which is brilliant. Really appreciate all your support. It's really, really fantastic. But we want to keep on growing and growing, just as Cologne are trying to get outside of their half by playing the ball around. So yes, Mark. So what reaction are we going to see from Baumgart and Cologne just as they come forward down the right-hand side here?
Yeah, we've just seen Miner has ended up smashing one over. He's not very, he can be a little bit wasteful, Miner, can't he? He looks really good dribbling on the ball, but his final touch isn't always the best. But I think, yeah, we'll see Cologne come out of the shell a little bit now. I think they have to, really, because they've not had much of the ball in the game at all, have they, really, in dangerous areas. I think Freiburg are very much well deserved of the lead. In fact, if you look at the XGs, it should be 2-0 up, really, because Freiburg are on around about 1.9. on the XGs, and I'd say that would be a fair score, but they'll be happy just to have that lead, you know. And as you say, they played a lot better again. They've started the second half really strong, and you know, it was that man Grigoric who got the assist as well, but it was quite a straightforward assist, really, wasn't it? All he had to do was play the ball ahead of Jong, and to be fair, Jong has not always been known as the best finisher, but he finished pretty well. As you say, the positioning wasn't great, but it did kiss the post, so even if it was a little bit better, I'm not sure whether he would have saved that one, in truth. We was finished really well by the South Korean international. Just a few jokes being exchanged as well between two of the big characters of German football as well, Christian Streich and Steffen Baumgart. They seem to be laughing about something on the touchline. Two really old school, like traditionalist football men, that's for sure. But great characters they are, both of them. Probably the two biggest really in German football. But yeah, I think Cologne, we might see a couple of subs. You know, I think they have got quality on the bench, Cologne. I think there's one player that I'm really, really a big fan of, and that's Hussein Basic, actually. I think he's been probably their best signing this summer. You know, I think he's already got 4 or 5 goals at the midfielder. I think he signed from the Zweite League, or even the Dritte League, actually. I think it could have been. I think it could even have been the third league that he came from. Kickers Offenbach, it was, yeah. So they're in the third league, but he's been really good. He's going to be a good prospect. Not quite fit enough to start every single game at the moment, but he's looked good. I think we'll see him come on. You know, also the likes of Jan Thielmann. I'm a little bit surprised he doesn't get more game time, to be honest, Thielmann, because I do like him as a player. I think he was very good early on this season. And the other one is probably, you know, it's Adamian as well, who's another one that doesn't get that much game time, does he? Which surprises me a little bit, because he's the kind of player I think Köln are lacking a little bit at times. What would you say? Are you surprised we don't see more of a Damian in a Köln shirt?
I always liked him at Hoffenheim as well, to be honest. I don't know. I actually don't know why he doesn't get many more games. Obviously, we probably, you know, we see fleeting amounts of, you know, all these players, I guess, here and there. And we obviously don't see what happens behind the scenes. But I thought it was a good move for him going to Cologne. I thought he played, you know, a fairly big part in their season, but yeah, at the moment not so much. But it would be it would be nice for him to have an opportunity this afternoon to get his side back into the contest. Just whilst Freiburg are on a goal kick, and Mark, you can jump in whilst you're watching if there are any goals or any exciting moments, but I'll just kind of fend a few questions onto you from Balim and some that are in the comments. So Balim has asked Mark, when will be your next match vlog? How much did the buy-in ticket cost? Was it easy to get buy-in tickets for any Bayern fans around the world? So yeah, how much were the tickets, and how easy was it to get a hold of a Champions League ticket?
Yeah, I can't give away the secret, otherwise I won't get one next time. But yeah, no, it was actually it was about €50, €50, which is about £40 in the current. So by German standards, it's a lot. By German standards, it's expensive, but by English standards, that's just like a standard ticket price, really. I think even a little bit cheaper by Champions League standard. But yeah, it was actually through my girlfriend's job. The reason why we were able to get the girlfriend's company actually was able to get all the tickets. But I can't go into like too much detail about that. But yeah, it's but it was a great experience. You know, it was a fantastic experience, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. But in some ways, it was a weird one because for me, it was like not a typical German football experience, if you know what I mean. Because it's like, you know, it was more like, for me, the Allianz was more like a kind of Premier League experience. It's for me, the German experience, you know, is like the kind of drinking a beer, standing. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm used to with the German football. And I would say Bayern Munich was a very kind of like corporate experience, really, in many ways, you know, but it's still worth going. I think the Allianz is one of the most impressive stadiums you'll ever see in football. It really is. It's absolutely massive, 75,000 seater. And, you know, they still have ultras, and the ultras are really good as well. It's, you know, but it's just a little bit different in a way. You know, obviously I've been to Bundesliga games before. I've been to Zweite and pretty much every level of German football. And for me, it was interesting, but it was a little bit different really to a typical Bundesliga experience. You know, obviously it was Champions League too. But I think, yeah, as for the next game, well, good question. I think obviously we've got the break coming up, and next weekend I can't due to other commitments. I won't be able to go to a game next weekend. So I am planning on going to a Regional Liga game before their break in December, actually. So I do plan on getting over to a Regional Liga game. I think it was you, Ballum, who asked for a game from that level. And it's the only level I've never seen of professional German football. So I'd like to see a game at that level. Also, there's a couple of third league teams that I'm looking at as well, because their season only takes the break in the middle of December. But unfortunately for the top two leagues, I won't be able to see another game until the end of January now. But after January, February, I do plan on going to some big grounds with the likes of Frankfurt, Leipzig, that are kind of within reaching distance of Nuremberg. But it's the only problem is North Rhine-Westphalia, which is where a lot of the clubs are. It's literally the other side of Germany, so I'd have to go for a weekend. But it's definitely something I want to do at some point. I'm going to go over to North Rhine-Westphalia, hopefully before the end of this season. But it might be closer to the end of the year of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Yeah, we look forward to watching your next trip, obviously make sure that you check those out on the channel. Well, there's 4 of them out now, so yeah, loads of really good ones that you've been able to get to recently, Mark. So yeah, if you're watching, make sure that if you haven't seen them already, they're on the channel. Head over there and you can catch everything from free Liga trips to Bayreuth, or your most recent trip to Fürth, and indeed the Nuremberg and Bayern Munich game with an hour gone here on our Sunday afternoon watch along in the Bundesliga. Freiburg hosting and leading the visitors FC Cologne, and are currently on course to end up second in the league at the end of match week 13. I think whilst we were answering that question, Mark, there's another error from Flecken. His clearance hit the back of a player, and almost ended up being a really good chance for 1-1, and then he intercepted a really good cross, actually. So Cologne responding quite positively, actually, but here come Freiburg down the other end. A deflected cross. Oh, almost fell at the feet of Jong there, which would have presented a good opportunity. So half an hour for Cologne to respond here. That's a bit of a crazy pass. That ended up going out of play. Couple other questions that we've got from Ballard. They're looking at handball here, I think, Mark, but I'm not sure if anything will be given for that.
No, I think that would have been extremely harsh, really, let's be honest, because the ball is kind of like hit the other Cologne player, then hit his hand. But nothing was given. I think if they didn't give a penalty for the Doan trip, then they're definitely not going to give a penalty for that. But I think, you're right. Cologne have responded relatively well, but they're still not getting that much possession, are they? And they're relying on defensive error, well, mostly goalkeeping errors, actually, from Fleck. And as you mentioned, that's the second one of the game. You know, he's got away with them so far, but whether he'll get away with a third one, I don't know. So he's got to increase his concentration, because, as you say, if Freiburg win this, they're they're going to go up to second, just a point behind Bayern Munich with 2 games to go until the break. So, it's 2-0. It's just gone 2-0. It's a brilliant crossing. It's the big man Grigorovic. It seems as though I've given him a positive curse. Because I said he was having a stinker earlier in the game, but he's just done a classic. I don't know who it was that put that ball in, but it's a great ball. And what a ball that is. That's his bread and butter, isn't it?
Sublime.
That's his bread and butter to knock that in. It was a Doan, yeah. Good for my fantasy football team. Yeah, but it's a great ball. What a ball. Sure. That's a beautiful ball. And it's easy header. No, it wasn't Doan. It was Kugler, I think. Actually, was it? No, it was Gunter.
Gunter, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Gunter, yeah, but it was a brilliant ball. That's exactly what Grigoric wants, isn't it? Like, it's absolutely perfect. He's not going to score an easier goal this season for his height. So, yeah, it's really good goal. This is the thing with Freiburg. You know, they've got different goals in them. You know, they can play that brilliant football on the ground, but then they can also swing a big testing cross in like that. And they've got Grigoric who will head it in. And, you know, it looks as though it's game over, to be honest now, Rory, but I think, Cologne, they have run out of steam this second half, really, and they look to be like losing their heads a little bit here. They've given another free kick away. And do you think that's game over, Rory?
Well, yeah, it would be tricky for the away side to get anything positive from the game now. Be interesting to see how long Baumgart leaves it. Obviously, you know, the Cologne themselves are still got 2 games before the international break themselves. 2 interesting games, actually. You're obviously playing all of a sudden resurgent Leverkusen. After that result, they'll be high on confidence, and then a game against Hertha. So, yeah, you know, whether he kind of resets the team to make sure that they don't go too, you know, haywire and lose 3-4, 5-0. They don't want to experience that again, having done it recently against Mainz. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out to see what changes Baumgart makes. I think they certainly need to do something, just as the camera was panning towards the Freiburg ultras in the background. Chance for Grifo to whip in the free kick, which probably already happened on your screen, Mark. And Freiburg settle for a throw-in.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is. It's the throw-in's just been taken. It's deep into the. That's what I mentioned. I said if they get 2-0 ahead, I think they might just try and run the clock down. I expect to see some changes from Freiburg soon. I know that they like to take the kind of attacking giants off after around 65, 70 minutes. So I won't be surprised to see Grifo, Doan go off very, very shortly, to be honest. And I think Freiburg will just look to kind of not run the clock down because it's not really their style, but they won't be bothered about a third goal because they know they've got 2 massive games coming up before the winter break, you know, obviously the World Cup break, but looks as though they've done enough to win this game. And again, it's been another good performance from them overall, hasn't it? I mean, they've just been far better than Cologne, really. And this is what they do often. They often just outclass opponents, Freiburg, these days. They're not just grinding out results. They're just showing that they're much better teams than a lot of the other sides in the Bundesliga. And it's incredible when you look at their budget and how hard it is to build a great squad with that budget. It's just incredible how well they play. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and again, this has been another really good performance. The first half, you know, it was a little bit frustrating for them, but they've shown that, you know, they can find a way through and looks like they're going to go on and win this game very comfortably. As I say, I think Streich might leave it another 3 to 5 minutes before we see subs, but I do expect they'll come, obviously, with Leipzig away to come on Wednesday night, which is a massive game, isn't it? If they can win there, then the top 4 is going to be looking really, really good. Even a point they probably take there, let's be honest. But the way they're playing, I think they believe they can win anywhere, basically. But yeah, I think as for Cologne, you know, it's not been a bad performance by them. It was disciplined for long periods, but now they find themselves in a position where they've got to get 2 goals to get a point. You know, it's not really a surprise because I think the bookies would have had Freiburg pretty big favourites to win this game, in truth. I told quite a few people to back Freiburg to win this because I was that confident that they'd win, in truth. But yeah, we'll have to see what Cologne can do. Maybe we probably should see a couple of subs from them. I'm a little bit surprised we didn't see a couple at 1-0, in truth. But Baumgart seems to be almost pretty resigned to the fact they're going to lose this game, Rory.
Yeah, I mean, you always think that managers do their best to get the result there and then. and see what he can do. But at the moment, it is a surprise that we've not seen anything positive from a substitution point of view. Schmitz is on the floor, having been taken a bit of a whack by might have been Gregorovitz actually. So there's a bit of a break in play. So yeah, I think Baumgart should give it a go. He's got his hands on his hips there on the sidelines, obviously thinking through what. Lovely, having a bit of a play around with his nostrils there as well. Just what you want to see on TV. Yeah, no, I mean, it's got to be going through his mind about making some changes now. Whether he gets some further support for Tigges up front, or if he, maybe changes formation a little bit. We'll have to see. Just as we're seeing some replays of the goals, both very well taken clinically. So Christian Streich showing some replays of him going absolutely berserk on the sideline as well. And it looks like we've actually got a free kick for Cologne in the midst of all that. So a good chance for Florian Kainz to whip this ball in and maybe give the away side a bit of hope for a comeback. So let's see what comes of it. They take it short, actually. Back out to Kainz, low cross, quite easily defended by Freiburg there at the near post. So yeah, 20 minutes to go, roughly speaking, of the Sunday afternoon Bundesliga match in Freiburg and near to the Black Forest. So let's see if the home side can see out the last 20 minutes and get themselves a really important win and get themselves into second place as well. Just dangerous low cross there. I think there's a good chance, Mark, that we're probably going to see another goal or two because Cologne do now look like they're committing some more numbers forward, which will inevitably open things up at the back for the home side as well.
Yeah, and a triple sub coming up as well. We mentioned that the subs will come, a triple sub from Cologne. As you say, that they don't look like they're going to give up. It's not really in their DNA to just give up, is it? I mean, Kainz is coming up, which is a little bit surprising, but I guess they've got to save him for a big derby against Leverkusen. It's going to be Hussein Basic has come on for him. Duda has also gone off as well. Schindler has come on too. And the final change is, who's the final one? It's going to be Minor off and Thielmann on. So yeah, we have got, a couple more attackers coming on there. A little bit, they look a little bit more attack minded, but I think obviously taking Kainz off, the key attacker really kind of says that he knows that they're likely to lose the game, but they want him fit for the Leverkusen game because obviously Leverkusen are their second biggest rivals after Gladbach as well. You've got to remember. So that is a big game for them on Wednesday night against a resurgent Leverkusen side. But, as you say, I do agree that there could be another goal or two in this. It often happens in the Bundesliga, doesn't it? Like teams just go like hammer and tong and then they get caught on the break for like a few sometimes. That's why we often see like really high scoring games because like teams at the end just go for it basically, which is great, isn't it? It's what we want to see. But I think Cologne don't look like they're going to give up, but Jong's currently down after a bit of a heavy challenge there. I think it was by Schindler, actually, who's only just come on. But yeah, to be honest, if I had to hazard a guess if it's that side that we're going to get the third goal, I'd still be going Freiburg, to be honest. Would you agree, Rory?
Yeah, pretty much so. There'll be spaces for them to get their creative players onto and make the most of. Just seeing how bad this challenge was on second viewing, if we can get a replay of that. As Jong looks a little bit wiped out. So it is Schindler. Oh no, it's not Schindler. No, actually, it's number 23. Whether that is, just a bit of a stamp on the ankle. Not pleasant, but by no means anything too nasty. Some more comments in from Ballon saying by Leverkusen and other Bundesliga teams done well on social media. I've noticed their English pages. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see that all these teams are starting to have more of a presence and kind of open the market, certainly to North America and England and Scotland and obviously all across Europe as well. So yeah, it's great to see how much attention they give to social media and all the different kind of English speaking accounts, which is obviously really helpful for the likes of, well, certainly myself, to keep up to date with all their, all their news as regularly as possible. What else we had here? Some more chat from Ballum saying that Mark should get Twitter and TikTok. All jokes aside, been impressed with some of the Bundesliga teams with social media, as already mentioned. So yeah, absolutely, we need to get you onto all sorts of different forms of social media, Mark, so you can spread the good words of your match day vlogs, just as Cologne
I'll
are
start
coming forward
making
again
ultra
here.
TikTok videos or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. And they go down a treat. What have we got here? So we're almost on 75 minutes, so 15 more minutes for the away side to try and break the Freiburg clean sheet at the moment. But here come Freiburg on the break. Oh, that's pretty poor. Passed by Gregorovitz, I think. So that kind of hit and miss nature a little bit there. And Cologne got a chance to reset and play out from the back through Skahiri. And yeah, that don't seem to be in any great rush right now. Maybe just taking their time because one goal obviously then, doesn't take any time really. And then you're right back in the game, building up through the middle nicely now. Another Freiburg player down on the floor. Chance for a cross to come in, but it's throw-in instead. So a bit more pressure, as you would imagine, Mark, for a team that's losing. And, as you say, in the Bundesliga, no team's ever really shut up shop. Hence why the games are always so entertaining. And we always get something going on. Just seeing a replay of why Hoffler was on the floor and he's having a bit of a moan. But at the moment, yeah, we've got a bit more of a break in play.
I think they're checking for a penalty here as well, aren't they? I think they're checking for a possible penalty.
Maybe come back to a question that was asked in regards to... Yeah, I just saw that. What we're seeing
here,
here
nothing's happened of it though, because the game's continued. So it's another.
Complete.
Seems that this ref is just not interested in any fouls at all, is he?
It looks completely accidental. It doesn't even look like Linehart's even looking at him. So I think that would have been, again, very, very generous, just as Pedersen launches the throw-in back into play. And Cologne come forwards. Nice aim, maybe not a nice aimed cross. And Flecken launches long very quickly for Gregorovitz to chase, but doesn't do it very enthusiastically. He pretty much gave up after about 3 strides. So maybe he's starting to think about the next game as well. Having got themselves two goals up. There's some good work there by Doan. A bit of a messy phase of play, but here comes Wu Yongjong down the right-hand side. Bit of space. Oh my God, that was terrible. Unfortunately, he's tripped himself over, and the away side now have the ball again, Mark. Guys, it's gone a bit harem-scarum, hasn't it? Both teams really going into some pretty meaty challenges now.
Yeah, I think obviously the fact that Cologne have changed their entire front line as well shows that Steffen Baumgart isn't happy at all with the performance of his front line. Obviously, I didn't realise actually before, but Adamian did come on actually for Tigres after about 65 minutes. Yeah, I'll be honest, it escaped my attention, that one. But yeah, they have actually made 4 subs and the entire front line has been changed by Steffen Baumgart. So I think he's showing really the team there that he's not overly impressed with what they did from an attacking perspective, which I can understand in a way, because none of them had good games in this match. But yeah, one thing I love about the Bundesliga is teams just don't give up, and you wouldn't know that Cologne are 2-0 down. Like, they're trying to take quick free kicks. They're really desperate to get back in this, and they know that, as often happens in the Bundesliga, if you can get a goal back, you've got a great chance of getting level or even winning it. You know what I mean? We've seen a lot of crazy games this season, where a team just gets a goal back and then they go on to... I mean, we saw it just a couple of weeks ago with Augsburg against Leipzig, didn't we? I think there was 70 minutes on the clock and they got a 3-3 draw from 3-0 down. And early in the season, we saw Dortmund blow a 2-0 lead after about 85 minutes, didn't we, against Werder Bremen? So
yeah.
teams know that this can happen in the Bundesliga, and it's happened many times, and it's always happened, and hopefully always will happen at this level of football. But Cologne won't believe they're completely beaten yet, even though Freiburg are one of the best sides at closing out games. That's one of the things I love about Freiburg. You know, they are very good at closing out games of football. And I do feel as though that's one of the weaknesses of a lot of Bundesliga teams. They don't quite know how to get over the line comfortably, you know. But I think Freiburg are one of the sides who do. And I believe that I have no doubt that they'll comfortably get over the line in this game for me. I think I predicted 2-0, and as things stand, it's looking quite comfortable.
You did? Yeah, you're on course for a correct score. Right now, my 3-1's looking a little bit more ambitious, but still 10 minutes to go in the game. So certainly still chances for some more goals, just as Schwaber for Cologne goes long. So yeah, let's hope to try and see a couple more big opportunities for both sides, as no doubt there will be spaces to play. Again, here's Grifo seeing out the ball and defending well and doing his defensive duties as well. Not been involved as much today, Grifo, has he, Mark? Not one of his finer performance. Nothing wrong with his performance, but maybe been a little bit quieter and not as involved as he usually would be.
Yeah, definitely. I would say he's been the quieter of the three, playmakers. Really, I would say Jong and Doan have definitely been better than him tonight. But he doesn't have to play well every game, because that's the thing with Freiburg. They're not a side that just rely on him every game. Because they've got other quality players who can get the goals and get the assists too, as we've seen today with Doan, who's been good. I would say Jong has been my man of the match, really, though, in a way, for Freiburg. This is the thing with Freiburg. It's not been like a mesmerizingly good performance, but they've just been really good all over the pitch. They don't have any weaknesses. That's the thing with Freiburg for me. I just think they've got so many good players. Eggestein and Höfler are the two most underrated players in the side. I also think Lineart is really underrated for them as well. I just think, everyone talks about Ginter as that centre half, but Lineart's a player that I've rated for quite a while now. I think he does well in that team as well. He's been good tonight. Gunter is a really good player as well, swinging the ball in. There's just not been one bad player, and there rarely is, in truth, for Freiburg, and that's why they win so many games. Like they're a classic example of a team. The same with Union Berlin, but I think for me, Freiburg have got more flair than Union. Union are a little bit more, tight. They like to keep it tight, the base more on like they get a lot of goals from set plays and deep crosses and things like that. But Freiburg are a very, very technical team, and they combine that technical brilliance with some hard men as well. The likes of Eggestein and Höfler, who can do the tackling and the dirty work. And it's just a brilliant balance. And, we've talked many times about Streich and how good he is, and things just don't get any worse. Keep getting better and better for him. We have seen a couple of subs. Hurler's come on, actually. I think he only made his comeback last week at Schalke. He's also a good striker. He was the starting striker before they got Gregoritsch. He's a good player to come off. Also, they made another sub as well, I think. Who was it, the second sub there? No, they've only made one sub, actually. Gregoritsch has gone off for Hurler. But yeah, it's just, they've got good backup in every position that a lot of people don't realise with Freiburg. A lot of people think, if they get one injury, they're buggered, basically. But they're not, really, because they've got quality backup in most positions as well, apart from maybe goalkeeper. That's probably the only position they don't have a top quality backup.
Yeah, there was actually second substitution was Schade, who's come on. Obviously, the young forward player, so he'll be operating by the looks of it as the number one striker. But obviously, Hurler, you'd expect him. Maybe they're playing two up front now. But Grifo's got the ball in the left-hand corner here, standing up his man, and then the ball comes in a little bit too deep, and it's defended well enough by the away side. We're on 83 minutes, roughly speaking, so about 7 minutes plus a bit of injury time. Actually, there's been quite a lot of players down on the ground in the second half, so there might be a little bit of extra time, but not absolutely loads of it. So yeah, time running out for Cologne. to get anything from this match. I think a win would have taken them up to about 7th place, back up towards the European spots, but they'll have to wait for that a little while. And again, maybe the focus before the World Cup will just be to try and get maybe just, at least one win, if not a draw or two, just to make sure that they're ticking over points wise and don't have a long winter break on the back of a negative kind of thought because of the fact that they just missed out on obviously that Europa Conference League first or second spot, really. Just as Sade doesn't quite get in behind. Good tackle there as we run into the last 5 minutes or so. But yeah, thank you everyone who's tuned in this afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed the match and our commentary. Please do make sure that if you've got any other questions or thoughts, pop them in the comments section. Give the show a like, really helps the video performance-wise. And of course, please do press the red button, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the other shows that we're doing. Quick reminder that there's no Monday show. We'll be reviewing things a little bit more on Tuesday night live, roughly about 7:30 UK time, to do a bit of a watch-along slash kind of Gillette Soccer Saturday vibe. We'll be covering the Tuesday night games as well, as we've got another full set of matches to come, as we want to cover as much as possible before the World Cup break. And we've got some more defending to do here for the away side. Good play into the box, but it ends up still in Freiburg's possession. A low cross eventually dealt with by the away side. They can't seem to get outside the right-hand corner here. Very weird phase of play that, Mark. But a good home performance overall by Freiburg. The Ultras are starting to bounce in the stands of Europa Park, and we've got a couple more changes upcoming for Freiburg here. I think we're going to see Roland Shalai as well.
Yeah, obviously he's returning from injury as well. So, the likes of Shad, Salah, is like what I was saying before, they've got so much quality and depth as well. And they're not just like a one starting 11 with no one else to bring in. So they do get a couple of injuries. They have got quality to bring in as well. But yeah, I think they're just pushing for that third goal, but they know they don't need it, basically. As you say, they're going to make another couple of subs. I think for Salah, it's just about getting him back on the pitch, after I think about a month out or so. But it's going to be hard for him to get back in the team because Jong, obviously his replacement, has been really good the last couple of weeks. And as I say, for me, he's probably been the man of the match today. I mean, Doan will probably get it, Andrew, because he's been just probably the most influential overall. But I think, it's going to be hard for him to get back in the team. And he's a really good player as well, obviously the Hungary international. But yeah, it's just, as you say, just the way they see our games is just really impressive too. And I think, we all talk about the front three, but the defense is really, really good too. One of the best in the Bundesliga. And that shows as well on the stats. I mean, they've only conceded 13 goals in 13 games, which is the second best after Bayern Munich, who conceded 12 in the same amount of time. So it just proves the level of this defense. Yeah. And if it wasn't for that 5-0 thumping against Bayern, they'd be well below a goal a game that they're conceding. So this proves the kind of quality that they've got. They're going to go within a point of Bayern Munich at the top of the league. Bayern have got a hard game against Werder Bremen. I've got a feeling that Bremen are the kind of team that could cause them trouble, on Tuesday night. So who knows? It is possible that Bayern could hopefully go back to dropping points because, let's be honest, since the break, the international break, they've just been like a machine, haven't they? Let's be honest. I mean, I think they've won every single game since that international break to go back top again, but they know obviously Werder is going to be a hard game, but then they finish with Schalke only, which is like a nice game to finish, really, let's be honest, before the break. So I think if anyone's going to stop them from being top at Christmas, it's going to be Werder Bremen. Need to get a result at the Allianz on Tuesday night. But as I say, for me, they are the kind of side that can get a result. So for Freiburg, they just got to keep ticking on. They're not the kind of side that need to look too much at the table because, they're already overachieving. They just need to go to Leipzig and put in a similar level performance to tonight. The corner coming in there for Köln. Maybe there could be a goal in it for them. No, it's a poor ball in the end. And it's still not been fully cleared. Ooh. Yeah, but it sums up much of Cologne's night really tonight. They can't get the ball out though, Freiburg, but there's just not enough pressure really from. Yeah, and they've got a free kick in the end with 89 minutes almost on the clock. They're going to make that double substitution now. I think it's going to be, probably one of Doan and Grifo is going to go off and Salah is going to come on. Can't quite see who the second substitute who's going to come on is. Grifo's off, yeah. He's going to be replaced by Roland Salah. Slowly trudging off, yeah. You can't blame them really at the end of the day, run the clock down. To be honest, in the Bundesliga, they tend to be very generous on that a lot of the time. They don't add a lot of time. And I don't know if you've noticed that, Rory, but there never seems to be that much time added on in the Bundesliga compared to in the Premier League where there can regularly be like 7, 8, 9 minutes added on. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, I have done actually. Noticeably so that usually when United are playing, there's about 8 minutes of added on time for absolutely nothing. In the Bundesliga, I think it's just better. It's more efficient. Less of the time wasting sort of stuff for me. So as much as you want to see football matches going on forever, there can't always be a minimum of 5 minutes added on time, which seems to be standard in the Premier League because of the fact that, I don't know, it just seems to accumulate. I don't know why, whether there are longer stoppages or because there's more injuries or I don't know. But I can't imagine there'll be too much on added on time this evening. It was been a fairly comfortable outing for Freiburg. Unfortunately, Mohamed, don't think you'll get your over 2.5 goals. Unfortunately, looks like you're running out of time for that one. But fingers crossed we get maybe a late goal for you. So looking ahead to match day 14 on Tuesday when we're live, Wolfsburg Dortmund will be the early kickoff, so that probably would have just about finished once we come onto YouTube again. And then we've got Bayern versus Werder, which I'll be tuning into mainly. We've got Bochum hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach, so a good opportunity for Gladbach to improve upon their good result against Stuttgart, and then the aforementioned Stuttgart hosting Hertha, which is a huge game for both teams, really. So we'll kind of be checking in on all three of those games during the course of the evening and looking ahead to Wednesday night's games as well. So that should be good fun. So make sure you come with your questions and comments. So what we're into the 92nd minute now, just as Cologne, we're trying to get forward, but Freiburg can break here. Few interchanging passes, keeping the ball really well, keeping possession really well. Another player down with injury. Freiburg again here. Looks like it might be Lienhardt. It's like he's holding his face, his mouth. I got a bit of an elbow from one of the attacking players. I think it might have been Schindler again involved in the action. Very much kind of winding down now in Freiburg to a very positive result for the home side. Not so impressive, unfortunately, by Cologne. Never really got started in the match. I think there was probably a phase, wasn't there, Mark, within 30 minutes to 45 where they posed a bit more of a threat, but Freiburg got their deserved goals, and we're only a few minutes away from confirming what will be an important win for the home side and Christian Streich's men. And, we'll be back in action on Tuesday anyway, so not long for everyone to wait for some more tasty Bundesliga action.
Yeah, definitely. They call it Englische Woche actually in Germany, which means like English week, which is quite funny. I don't know if you know about that, but they say, because in Germany, it's I think only 1 or 2 Englische Woches in the season. Actually, they don't like the midweek games in general in Germany, and they actually call it English week because they think all the German people think that in England, like teams play like 3 times a week or something like that. But it's in Germany they try to keep they don't think it's good for the players to play too much. That's the thing, because they think the players get tired, injured, and things like that. So it is quite interesting that they call it English week, but we do have an English week, but we enjoy them, don't we, Rory? That's for sure. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to really miss the Bundesliga. Obviously this time next week, unfortunately, we'll just be saying goodbye to the Bundesliga for 2.5 months, and it's going to be yeah, I'm gutted because the season's just getting going really now, isn't it? And obviously we have to have this long break. But yeah, I think in the same time, it's quite interesting, just as the game has finished, by the way, now. As comfortable a 2-0 win as you're going to get, really, for the home side. But, obviously it's a big couple of week coming up with 2 games. I think it's vital that Bayern don't get too far ahead, so that means that some of the chasing pack have got to win both games in midweek. But unfortunately, Freiburg have really hard fixtures, and as do Union. That's the thing. Because Union have obviously got to play Freiburg, and then I'm not sure who they play. Who do they play midweek, Rory? Have you got that today?
Union.
Yeah, they play.
Union play Augsburg at home on Wednesday.
You'd expect them to win that. They'll be favourites in that. Although Augsburg can pose their own problems themselves, but you'd expect them to win that. But then, obviously, I think if Bayern get both wins, they're probably going to have a 4 to 5 point lead potentially over the pack. But that's why I'm hoping that Werder can get at least a point there, or maybe, who knows, Schalke can pull off the miracle and get something off Bayern. But I wouldn't be too hopeful on that one, really.
Yeah. Yes, we will have to see about that. But yeah, I think that'll be us done for this evening now, this late afternoon. So yeah, thank you to everyone for tuning in this afternoon. It's been good to cover a Sunday match. Been good to cover 2 new teams on the channel for the first time. So that's been good fun. Very professional job by Freiburg. They're just a quality outfit right now and fully deserve their 2-0 win. I think, we're probably both in agreement, Mark, that Woo Young-jung probably our man of the match, although Doan probably ran him very closely. Both of them fantastically industrious in that front forward line. But yeah, so just to kind of say, look out for our show on Tuesday night. So yeah, as mentioned, be covering the 3 live games, be watching along. I'll be watching Bayern myself, depends on what's available for you, Mark, in terms of what game you watch. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. Of course, then we'll have our last fantasy football show on Thursday. So that's very sad. So I won't be doing any more fantasy football after Thursday. And then we'll be doing one last review show. Might do that as a bit of a Q&A as well. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, over to you, Mark, to finish off tonight's show.
Yeah, definitely. So if you enjoyed what you saw today, then check out our Twitter, @OverTheBar, @OverTheBar Extra. Also, our main site as well, which is otbfootball.net. And then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well. And remember also, it's some of our vlogs as well, as you say. Yeah. So I've been up and down pretty much all of not of Germany, Bavaria. I think all of them have been within Bavaria, but I've done quite a few games, 5 or 6 games, I think. So if you want to see what a German match day experience is like, then check them out and comment as well to let us know what you think. And yeah, but yeah, as Rory said, we'll see you again on Tuesday for our next watch along. So yeah, see you then, guys. Ciao.
Bye-bye.